Hello, everyone, and welcome to EasyTalk English, the podcast that makes learning English fun and easy. I'm Eric.
And I'm Andrea. We're so glad you're here with us today. If you're a beginner or intermediate English learner looking to improve your skills, you've come to the right place.
Today's episode is all about basic grammar rules made simple.
That's right. We'll talk about some of the most important grammar rules you need to know, how to use them correctly, and tips to sound more natural when speaking English. And to help us do that, we have a fantastic guest with us.
Joining us today is Mark, a native English speaker from the U.S. Mark has been teaching English to learners all over the world and loves helping people sound more natural in their conversations. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Eric and Andrea. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share some tips and tricks with your listeners.
We're excited too. Mark will be sharing his insights and giving us examples of how to make grammar feel less like a set of rules and more like tools for effective communication.
Let's dive in.
So, Mark, let's start with one of the basics. Subject-verb agreement. Can you explain it in simple terms for our listeners?
Absolutely, Andrea. Subject-verb agreement means that the subject and the verb in a sentence need to match. For example, if the subject is singular, the verb should also be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural too.
That's a great start. Could you give us a couple of examples?
Sure. Here's a simple one. He walks to school. The subject, he, is singular, so we use the singular verb walks. Now, if we say they walk to school, the subject they is plural, so we use the plural verb walk.
That's clear. And what about common mistakes learners make?
A common mistake is forgetting to add the s to the verb when the subject is singular. For example, people might say he walked to school instead of he walks to school.
Good point. Let's make it interactive. Listeners, repeat after me. He walks to school.
Now try this one. They walk to school.
Great job. Repeating sentences like this can help you get used to the correct form.
Let's move on to another rule. Using articles like a, an, and the. Mark, what's your advice here?
Articles can be tricky, but here's a simple way to remember them. Use a or an for something general or when it's mentioned for the first time. Use the when you're talking about something specific. For example, I saw a cat. It's any cat. But if you say, the cat was black, you're talking about a specific cat you already mentioned.
That makes sense, and a versus an depends on the sound at the beginning of the next word, right?
Exactly. Use an if the next word starts with a vowel sound. For example, an apple or an umbrella. Use a for consonant sounds, like a dog or a house.
Let's practice again, listeners. Repeat after me. I saw a dog.
Now try, she bought an orange.
Fantastic. Practice is key to mastering articles.
Speaking of practice, let's do a quick quiz. Eric, want to lead?
Sure, I'll read a sentence and you choose the correct article. Ready? I saw elephant at the zoo. Options A and the.
Take a moment to think. The answer is an elephant.
Nice. Here's another one. She found key on the table. Options. A and the.
The answer is a key.
Great job, everyone. Let's share a fun fact before we wrap up this section. Did you know the longest English word without a vowel is rhythms?
Wow, that's a fun one. And it's another reminder of how fascinating English can be.
Okay, let's quickly recap what we learned today. Mark, what's the first key point?
Subject-verb agreement. Always match the subject with the correct form of the verb. Singular subjects take singular verbs, and plural subjects take plural verbs. Practice saying sentences out loud to get comfortable with this rule.
Next, we discussed articles. Use a or an for general things and the for specific ones. Remember, an is for words starting with a vowel sound, and a is for consonant sounds. When in doubt, think about how the word sounds when you say it.
We also did a fun practice session with examples. Remember to repeat sentences and try short quizzes to test your understanding. It's a simple but powerful way to improve.
Don't forget, mistakes are a natural part of learning. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Listening to native speakers and imitating their pronunciation can also help you sound more natural.
And here's a bonus tip. Write down sentences using these grammar rules and read them out loud. This helps reinforce the rules in your mind.
Great advice. Grammar might seem challenging at first, but with small, consistent steps, you'll master it in no time.
That's right. Learning is more effective when you enjoy the process.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your tips.
My pleasure, Eric and Andrea. And to all the listeners, keep practicing and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark, and thank you to everyone listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and leave us a review.
And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll talk about building your vocabulary with everyday objects.
Until then, keep practicing and remember, every small step brings you closer to fluency. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.